Alright, today is 10/22/25. I took one win and one loss. And then the rest of the day I ended up just like practicing back and forth on this practice and then also just doing practice where I just place down this bullshit. So obviously whenever you just place down this, there's real no emotion to it at all. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. But anyways, last night before I went to bed I saw that Asia was pumping up. And, that I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Asia pumping up like that. Like, what could have happened at that time? But when it comes to these levels, and I want to use this video as something to go back on to study when it comes to using these levels. And so far, I've used these levels before to take a couple trades, but at the most, I'm only practicing because I'm not too familiar with them. So I marked out these Asia, this low that we made right before I went to bed. I saw that we hit full range just like this, where it was almost perfect. We made this, we hit our negative 4.25, came down, we swept liquidity perfectly, and then hit the full range, and then came down. So I marked out the other side this morning, and hoping to use that. Something else I like to use is whenever the leg, if right after Asia high or low gets swept, like right after Asia session, it could be even in London, whatever leg takes that out, I usually like only using the ones right after Asia session usually ends. So I don't even think London, I think London starts at like 3, right? Yeah, so we didn't start until like right there. But it happened right here, and then also the same thing with London, where we made this London low, and then we ended up sweeping it. So I marked out this leg right here. And something I also want to go over is I already had a bearish bias. My target for the day was this daily gap and this daily volume imbalance that we made. And I'll get over this one that Sam needs to note for next time. We also had a 4-hour low down here. I didn't expect for us to dump all the way down here, but there's actually something I figured out with this Asia right here, which is going to explain this move up. But yeah, coming into the day, I was bearish. I saw that we had London high, and we had Asia high and previous day high and all-time highs. I wanted to see all-time highs, but I was just super bearish. We were kind of just stuck in a range between this high right here, or pretty much, yeah, this high right here, and then previous day low. We were pretty much just stuck in a range. We weren't going past either one of them. We weren't closing above highs at all on the higher time frame, 5-minute it up. So, pretty much I was just still bearish. And then coming into right here, we ended up doing this. We ended up making an SMT with Asia low, or ES didn't take that out right here. So market open, I had this SMT marked out as a 1 hour coming up, and I still didn't want to see longs. I just saw this as a retracement, and one of the main things I see is like anytime we get like a really clean like inverse like this is like the most ideal inverse whenever you see something like this. And this is on the higher time frame. When you see this on like the lower time frame, like 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, like this, like you want to get an inverse like that. It's a nice V shape. But yeah, I saw that we had this 30-minute and then also this 15-minute, and this 15-minute ended up getting tapped perfectly right before market open, and then we dumped. So I was still bearish after seeing this 15-minute close. We had a 4-hour rejection block up here on this candle, but ES had already tapped into it. And honestly, NQ wasn't really going anywhere closer to that. And of course we had these relative equal highs right here. But anyways, the one trade I took was actually down here. And the one loss, I'll go over that. So the one loss was pretty much this. Let's see what I did. Okay, I think I see what I did here. Okay, yeah, it was like a 30-second. It was so dumb. I don't really know why I took this. I kind of forgot I didn't have this volume imbalance marked out. Like I said earlier, coming back to this, I didn't have the volume imbalance marked out even though I knew it was there. And I just ended up taking this. I think I had full range on something down here. But yeah, this just didn't even look good, honestly. And then we ended up getting this, and this was a nice little move back up. I think we got like a... No, we didn't even really get anything nice. We just got this 1 minute right here. But yeah, I did that, and then after that, we ended up coming back into that volume imbalance, and then also sweeping that 4-hour low. And I ended up taking something right here, which was this. We had a 2-minute inversion that I entered off of the CE of, because it just looked really good. And obviously stops below here. We ended up disrespecting the 2-minute BPR, but I saw that we had this 1 minute gap right here that we held completely and didn't close below. And I told myself, even though my stops were right here, I told myself if we close below this on the 1 minute, then I would just get out. But we ended up not doing that, and I held it all the way up to this high right here, which was an unfilled 5-minute. You can see this 5-minute right here, and I was going to hold until equilibrium of the range, which would have been right here. But I don't know, I just didn't want to hold it for that long. I didn't know how much we were still we were literally in this 15 minutes, so I think we actually respect we respect that pretty well. But yeah, those were the trades. The dumb trade based off of something I forgot to mark out, and then a clean trade that I was super confident in. So those were the 2 trades, and then the rest were pretty much practice. Just basically using like levels. I think I took something right here too. Or no, not right there. Somewhere down here. I think I took a short somewhere up here too. I don't know, but yeah, I kind of just wanted to go over that, and then also kind of explain these legs. So we already had that bearish bias, and we had this, and we could see like I mean I just, even though these levels like end up getting hit like every single time, like I'm always not too confident when entering, because you never know if you marked it outright. There's so many times where I think I marked something outright, and you know, it might not even play out. So I kind of don't really have that confidence. But yeah, we ended up based off of this London right here. I saw that we came down and we hit this -1, and then we also had our Asia range, which we hit our -4.25 on. And this is the one that I didn't take because we didn't get a sweep of liquidity. Because even though we hit almost full range, I still would want to see a sweep down going into that -4.5 for at least a good reversal. And that's a lot of points. But you know, even though this 5-minute close up here, I was still bearish because we had this 30-minute right here that we ended up respecting, and I was gonna enter off of this. I was gonna enter off of it, but yeah, that 4-hour rejection block, I don't know. Anyways, I ended up taking a short right there on the practice and catching it to right here. We also have our positive London leg, and then we have our negative right here. So if we mark this out, this is also something I use to kind of confirm that bearish. With this is we hit this -1 perfectly. Now I don't like how we left the relative equal highs, but still we hit this perfectly, and I would mark this out the opposite way to go to the -1 and look for reaction there, but when it comes to that, we usually don't, and sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's not really fully accurate. We do at the -1, but it's not, you know, exact. But going off of our positive rule right here, the leg that took out that London leg, or London low, I marked that out. We could see that we had a clean reaction. It lined up with that volume imbalance, lined up with stuff inside the daily gap. So I wanted to see this down here. I'm pretty sure this lined up with the 4-hour low that we had, which was this. So if we go back, yeah. So I pretty much wanted to see that and then get a reaction off of that. So I took a practice trade off of this too. Once I saw this 5-minute close like that, I was like, okay, I'm pretty confident with that. And I ended up, that's literally the trade I took. That's the trade I took. Okay. Yeah, so that one worked. That worked well. And then of course, this one worked pretty well too. We ended up hitting these lined up together. And, you know, that was a pretty good confirmation. It ended up working too. And then get rid of this. We can see that, of course, worked. But I wanted to show myself and anyone else that cares this Asia right here. So we have this high and we have this low. Or actually, it's this high. And then we have this low. This right here ended up pretty much catching this entire move. Let's see, we got about 37 points of drawdown from that. I mean, that's just insane. But yeah. Once I saw this and I marked this out earlier, and I saw a reaction off of it, I was pretty confident that this would be pretty much the end of this dump. And it pretty much is. We have this 5-minute high that got closed over. We inversed the 15-minute. The only thing that's left is this 5-minute, and if we want to continue bullish, I'd want to see a close above that. So, and we got this really clean 5-minute inverse right here. Let's see, did we come back into the CE of this? We didn't. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to practice on this as well. I wanted to get back in that BPR, but it never came back. And we also had this low resistance on the 1-minute. But yeah, this is pretty much, I mean, this is pretty much just like a note for me or anyone that wants to watch this or take notes. Like this, these levels are really accurate if you know how to mark them out. They might not be like exact. I mean, some are. Some are pretty much exact. But other than that, it's you know, pretty good. But yeah, that was pretty much, the bias was correct for today. I ended up learning from a mistake. I ended up making my money back. I took a couple good practice trades as well. Also, because of the AWS outage, we ended up getting a code for Top Step, so I got like, what was it, 40% off, so it was like a $20-something account, 25 I think, 26. So that was really nice. But yeah, this is kind of just like a note for that. Pretty good day overall. But yeah, it's going to be it for today. 10/22/25.